So welcome back everybody to 31 Days of Horror. We are now on our 19th day, so not much longer left in this spooky season, so I thought it'd be a high time to get around to what I consider to be my favourite horror film, and that is 1973's Don't Look Now, which clocks in at 110 minutes long. It's a mix of the supernatural, thriller and horror genres. It's directed by Nicholas Roeg, who also did the really rather fantastic Walkabout and The Witches. And this is based on the 1971 short story by Daphne du Maurier. I hope I'm saying that name right. And it stars Julie Christie, who's also in Demon Seed and McCabe and Miss Miller. I've seen her in a couple of other things, but they're the two other films that really stand out for her as far as I'm concerned. And then you've also got the superb Donald Sutherland, who was in a bunch of classic films in the 70s, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the 1978 version, Klute, The Eagle Has Landed, and The First Great Train Robbery. But then he was also in Eye of the Needle, which is easily one of my favourite World War II films out there. Backdraft, which isn't a particularly great film, but his performance is really rather superb. He's also in the Hunger Games series, which I'm not a massive fan of, but again, he put in a good showing. And in one of my favourite recent sci-fi films, Ad Astra. And the premise of this film is about Laura and John, played respectively by Julie Christie and Donald Sutherland, who are grieved by a terrible loss, meet in Venice, where John is in charge of the restoration of a church, two mysterious sisters, one of whom gives them a message sent from the afterlife. So, this is considered a seminal British horror film, even though the two cast I think both of them are American, but either regardless, Nicholas Roeg is a British director, and obviously it's based on a British novelist short story. And this is a superb film. Easily my favourite horror film. There's very few that I'd rate as highly as this, if not higher. And that's thanks to both Christie and Sutherland putting in incredible performances, while the cinematography, editing, setting, plot, script, use of colour, themes and pacing are all superb across the board. And the script itself gives the horror itself a real tangible element about grief and loss, which not only resonates to this day, but resonates after multiple views, because I've seen this film at least a dozen times, maybe even more, across several formats, because I originally saw this on a really rubbish DVD, then I eventually got it on Blu-ray, and now I have it on 4K. Looks superb on 4K, by the way. And then there is the setting of Venice itself, which is used to great effect, as it's got a lot of, narrow, dark alleyways and thoroughfares and stuff like that are really used to great effect. And then you also got the sound on top of that, so while people are walking, you can just hear sound resonating all over the place, and it's just a really, really great setting, and it's probably the best use of Venice I've seen in any kind of film, never mind horror. And then you've also finally got the score by Pino Donaggio, who has done many scores before, but this is easily my favourite from him, and probably my favourite score overall, because not only does it elevate every scene that it's used in the film, but it also works superbly outside of the film itself. And that's why it's probably not only one of my favourite scores, but also one of my most played, because I do play a lot of scores. I'm a big fan of music, so any film that has a great score in it, I'll generally listen to it outside of that film, especially even more so when it sounds good on its own. It's not needing the visual aid of the film itself. So, an incredible film. I feel a film that still is kind of highly underrated, especially amongst more mainstream horror fans. I very rarely hear anyone talking about it, and that's a shame, because there are some modern examples which also deal with grief and loss really rather well. And I think this is the kind of film that set a template for that. Highly recommend it. And Studio Canal put out a really rather fantastic release of this. It came out on its 50th anniversary. Can't remember which. Regardless, it's a fantastic film, and as it said on the back by The Guardian, a masterpiece. And it really is a masterpiece in so many ways. Like I said, Studio Canal gave it a really fantastic release. Gave it a poster, which is really proper thick. I had it up for a while, so it's not the the most neat of posters anymore. It's a bit ripped on the corners, but give it a really superb poster. I really do like it. I wish it didn't have all the writing on it and it was just a poster, but regardless, yeah, really, really good one. And yeah, I do wish that more people would talk about it as well as see it. To be honest, so yeah, and it also came with the soundtrack. Another reason why I've gotten into the soundtrack more over the years, and yeah, and a whole host of other features. So, but obviously, if you can't afford the special version, then just rent it on streaming or anything like that. Because I do highly recommend it, and I think it's well worth a watch. At least, it's well worth a few quid just to see it. Never mind, just experience it as well. So yeah, get out there and see it if you haven't already. And if you have seen it, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. But nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.